This week at Dreamworld, new additions to Rivertown, discussing the future of Motocoaster, some funny Kenny and Belinda antics, and the progress on King Claw skyrockets towards completion as the ride goes vertical. Hello everyone, welcome back to the YumYum Report, bringing you bite-sized updates from Australian theme parks, as well as occasional updates from theme parks around the world. Before we start, I'd like to give a quick thanks to the Team YumYum channel members and sponsors. Thank you so much. The last time I visited Dreamworld was to check out Winterfest before I went away on holiday to Melbourne, and after returning this week, the amount of progress that the park has made has been astounding. The elephant in the room is, of course, King Claw, but I'll come back to that in a bit. Rivertown has been open for the better half of a year now, and despite already being a fantastic addition to the park, Dreamworld is continuing to make changes and new additions to the area and rides, such as the shading, which appeared a few weeks ago, and this week there were a few small but exciting changes. In the queue for Jungle Rush, some direction signs have been added to make it clearer which path leads to which queue, and in this somewhat blank space between the Snake Eye Chamber and the Tower of Terror Skull Room, they've added some vines to slightly cover up some of the blank walls. The queue for Jungle Rush is extremely impressive already, so the fact that they felt the need to add something additional to the one space where it was only slightly unthemed speaks volumes to me. Dreamworld clearly puts a lot of effort into detail, and this is a great example. I wonder if we'll see any more additions to Jungle Rush, namely inside the attraction itself. There are still a few areas that are a little bit empty and could do with something additional. What do you think? Is the theming for Jungle Rush complete? Let me know in the comments. Back towards the front of Rivertown, they've added some new details outside the Rivertown store, which is a welcome addition. We can see some new logos and theming elements on the side of the building, which look quite nice. This building has been somewhat of an eyesore, originally being used as the exit gift shop for Motocoaster, and although it's unclear if it's a permanent fixture or if they have some plans to build a more aesthetically pleasing shop building in the future, I'm glad to see them putting more effort into improving the general appearance of the shop. Speaking of Motocoaster, I posted a discussion on my Instagram and YouTube community asking what people think will happen with this infamous and controversial ride, and I received some interesting comments. A lot of people have similar thoughts, so I won't read every single comment. I'll kind of cover the different categories that people seem to align with. It seems like quite a lot of people think that they should retheme the ride and repurpose it with some upgrades to the trains and the operations to kind of tie it in nicely with the Rivertown theme. Theme Park Insanity says retheme it to Rivertown, new trains would be needed, themed to old school motorbikes like in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Matthew Moffat says what they should do to Motocoaster is change the motorbikes to dirt bikes, paint the track brown, place dirt underneath the ride, and retheme it like you're riding a dirt bike through the jungle. I think that would be cool to ride, so then they don't have to demolish the track and can use all that space. Yes, lots of people seem to have the same sort of inspiration, and I can definitely see the vision there. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'm 100% on board. Ozthrills makes a great point. Unless it's costing the park significant money, I'd say just a retheme. It still gets pretty good ridership, and it's more capacity for the park. Removing more rides when there's already plenty of vacant land isn't exactly the best optics. Yeah, that is a really good point actually. I do notice that Motocoaster is quite popular among the general public, and it usually draws a consistent crowd throughout the year. Benji says, I think that scrapping it is unlikely, and a retheme is the most probable outcome. However, I think in my opinion it would be better to just get rid of it instead of spending tons of money just to keep it around for another 5 to 10 years. I would love to see something like Sandy's Blasting Broncos or a Skyrocket in its place, because that plot of land is prime for some sort of compact, high-thrill coaster. That's also a great point. You have to be realistic. How long are these rides going to last for at the park? Does it realistically have a long life cycle? Yeah, I agree. I think something compact, a high-thrill coaster would be really cool. Maloney's Coasters, who is somewhat infamous for his hatred of Motocoaster, unsurprisingly says preferably a full removal. It's a huge footprint with so much potential for something new. Yeah, I'm kind of split. I tend to agree with you. I think I'm not a huge fan of the ride myself. I do see the potential if they sort of refurbished it and upgraded it in some areas, but I would personally prefer to see something new in that space in the future. And there's a lot of different options they could choose from for that space. It is quite a large section of land, and they could even fit 1 or 2 new attractions in there. The Real Generic Smile says, "What a appalling question, it's my favorite ride, you can't beat it. Unless they demolish it and replace it with maybe an entrance to a Rivertown themed boat cruise with Jane and Murray as the skippers taking you through Rivertown. Similar to the one at Disney World would be cool." Yeah, I really like that idea. I know I've probably repeated it a lot of times, but I would love to see the paddle steamer make a return to Dreamworld. I never really got to experience it as a kid, and I think it fits the aesthetic of the park and Rivertown really nicely. It would look so nice going around the river, and I don't know if they would need to use the Motocoaster space for that attraction. I think there's other spaces in the area that they could use for a potential paddle steamer or riverboat style attraction. Grapefruit1210 says, "I think they should retire it and replace it with a new water ride that fits the theme of Rivertown. Dreamworld is definitely missing a water-based attraction in the lineup, so I could definitely see something in the space working really nicely, like a log flume or something. That would be really cool." And of course there's the avid Motocoaster fanboys, such as Theme Park Ogre. "Add new trains and retheme it to fit in with Rivertown is what I'd say if Motocoaster wasn't the best coaster of all time." Yeah, Theme Park Ogre loves Motocoaster. He made it an entire video to share his dedication and love for this attraction. Jordan Not a Whale says, "They should do nothing to it. It's the best ride in the whole world and they cannot remove it. Ha 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 ha. Crying face, haha, party thing." Poster Blocks 3420 says, "The new comfortable Intamin trains and a modest speed boost would do the trick. A bit more of comfort would go a long way for this attraction, and I definitely agree with you about the speed." Coaster Blocks. What are my thoughts? I personally think Motocoaster has overstayed its welcome. It feels like a remnant of the old Dreamworld, and it doesn't quite align with the branding of where the park is at now, and where the park will hopefully be heading in the future. I think the idea of Motocoaster is good, but I think it could certainly be done much better, like Jet Rescue at SeaWorld for example. I don't know if it's better to do a touch-up, maybe overhaul the theming to tie in with Rivertown, and make the ride experience smoother, or if it's better to completely demolish it and build something new in that space. I'm somewhere in the middle. I can see the arguments for both sides. I do think that Motocoaster has potential if they refurbished it, upgraded the operations, the trains, gave it a bit of a speed boost, and obviously tied into the Rivertown theme. And on the other hand, I would love to see something innovative and new and more exciting. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Thank you so much to everyone for your comments and thoughts. I'm sorry to anyone whose comments I didn't read. There were quite a few similar opinions, so I tried to sort of combine different thoughts together. If you'd like to be a part of future discussions and share your thoughts to be read in a future video, make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on my posts on the YouTube community. I'll be posting all kinds of interesting stuff on both Instagram and YouTube community, so make sure to check them out. When I originally visited Winterfest a few weeks ago, it was quite a drizzly and gloomy day. The park was pretty quiet, and it unfortunately impacted my enjoyment of the Winterfest offerings. So I was curious to see what the event was like on a busier day like the one that I visited on, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that the atmosphere of the park was much more energetic and exciting. It definitely helped having a lot more people around, and it impressed me a lot more than my last visit. I was only there for a short time, so I didn't get to check out everything, but the highlight for me was seeing Kenny and Belinda enjoying the ice slide. It was so funny and unexpected seeing this happen, and the crowd was really enjoying it. I love how much of a presence Kenny and Belinda have in the park, as well as all the different costumes they wear for the events. I also spotted them shortly after in the ice skating rink, but I got there just at the last second, so I couldn't get a good clip. There's also roaming characters around the park, which is a fun addition. There's so much kinetic energy, so it's great if you're a photographer or a videographer, because there's some really great photo opportunities like with the Dreamworld flyer. Winterfest is over now for 2025, and after my visit today, I definitely recommend checking the event out next year if it returns, especially on a busy day when the park has more energy. Don't make the same mistake as I did coming on a wet and rainy day, because you probably won't have a great time. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next event at Dreamworld is. I think it's the Spring Country Fair, which should be happening in September. I've said many times that this year the Street Food Festival earlier in the year was fantastic. They did a huge upgrade to that event, and I would love to see them make some of the same changes they did to that for their other events, because I think they have a lot of potential. I think the biggest mistake they usually make is sort of spreading everything out way too far, and there's activities that are taking place where guests aren't really walking to. So I look forward to seeing the next event at Dreamworld. Now for the elephant in the room, or deep sea creature in the room, King Claw. The last update I filmed on King Claw was a couple of weeks ago when they were building some of the queue structure, which was already exciting. And after going away for a week to Melbourne and coming back, the ride has already started to go vertical, and the presence it's added is pretty amazing. You can generally see it from most areas of the park. In fact, before you even arrive at the park, you can see King Claw looming over Dreamworld from the highway, towering almost as high as Gold Coaster. It's really impressive, and it's going to look amazing once it's complete, especially with all the theming in place, such as the set piece which is supposed to be placed on top of the ride. So far the appearance of the ride is looking very much in line with the concept art, and I think it's safe to say that they're definitely on track for their end of year opening, if not earlier. It is a bit difficult to film the progress of King Claw because it's such a large ride and they have to close off huge areas of the park for the construction to take place. So for the time being it can make getting around the park a little bit challenging and tedious, given that one of the main pathways is blocked off. But that's just a small compromise to pay for an awesome new addition. Are you excited for King Claw, and will you be riding it once it's open? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave a like, a friendly comment, or subscribe for more. And before we finish, I'd like to give a very special thank you to the Team YumYum members and sponsors for supporting my content. Thank you so much. A very special thank you to the Team YumYum members, Lee Donald, SW Stevie 1, Randall, Maloney's Coasters, Carrie Jackin, Guy on the Internet, Oogie Boogie, Theme Park Ogre, Jordan Casey, Germ, Medic Brick, Johnny Boy 175, Movies Like Everyone, and Senpai's JP Blue Dog, and a special thanks to the Team YumYum sponsors, Koala75, and Audrey Allen. Thank you so much again to all the members and sponsors for supporting my content. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos enough to support me in this way. And for anyone who would like to become a member or a sponsor, you're more than welcome to do so. This will give you access to new videos early. You'll also get a special shout out and thanks at the end of my videos. Some emojis to use in the comments, a little sticker next to your username, and last but not least, you'll also get a hand-drawn illustration by me to suit your very needs and requirements. And for my sponsors, I will also animate this character doing a little dance on screen, which will be super fun and super cute. But if you're not in a position to support the channel this way, you're more than welcome to support by leaving a like, a friendly comment, or subscribing for more. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.